Hey, welcome back to PodcastNV. We have some listener feedback again.
What?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
People like us?
Yeah, believe it or not. People have been responding and commenting on our YouTube channel and via our feedback on the website.
Okay.
What about our other stuff that we post that's like, XXX rated? Is anybody enjoying that?
I'm not aware of
Not
this.
one person has told me that they enjoyed that. Yeah, it's going to have to remain a hobby, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, it is for me currently.
So I don't know if you remember, but we did the episode Hold the Line. We talked about buffalo wings. We talked about chickens. We talked about your garnish, whether you like carrots or celery.
Yeah.
And I went on a little bit of a rant about how I didn't like celery. Well, we clipped that and put it on our YouTube channel into a YouTube short. And somebody felt the need to respond to my argument. And he said, imagine arguing against real food.
Oh, my God.
There was 3 comments on that video, and one of them, this one was a negative one. And I'm like, what, really? Like, I wasn't being that serious. Like, I was kind of joking. Yeah, I don't really like celery, but I wasn't advocating that other people don't eat celery, just for the record.
I don't. You were pretty serious. You were like strongly against celery. You even like listed out like it's not real. Once you eat it, you've already burned it off.
It provides you with nothing.
Yeah,
it gets stuck in your teeth.
Yeah, you were a little heated. I actually moved my chair over from you.
Stop it.
To the celery side of the room.
Exactly.
Doesn't that make it more real though? Like, if you're burning it off, it makes it more real. When you've run the marathon, then you've burned off all those calories.
No, I think all you have to do is chew when you burn it off.
Yeah, right?
It's a little easier than a marathon. Just marginally.
Much easier. Look at me. It's much easier to chew than it is to run a marathon.
Oh my God.
That's good. Oh,
right.
you give great hugs.
Thanks. I try. It's nice to know that I'm good to cuddle with.
There you go. All right, what else we got?
So one of our email feedbacks was from a guy named Thomas. He said, Dear Podcast Envy, interesting episode about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and hearing your thoughts on who should be nominated. But the only correct answer here for your top 3 is Tribe Called Quest, Dave Matthews Band, and Sinead O'Connor.
I feel like we had a good mix of that.
Yeah,
you said DMB.
I did.
And I think one of us said Tribe.
I did. I think I said Tribe.
You might have said.
I think
Look
you
at
had
me, 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And I think your third one was Cher, if I remember correctly. Because you called her an icon.
I did.
And you said she should show up whether she wants to or not.
It's because he
think that's
believes in
correct.
life after love.
That's true. What's wrong with that? That's true.
And Tim wanted what? Eric B. and Rackham in Saudi Arabia.
I don't think so. I think you're pronouncing it wrong.
Silly me.
Gee golly. What else we got?
This one is from the infamous Jamie.
Uh-oh. What did we get wrong?
So we have to put things into perspective. There's somebody who has been sending us messages named Jamie since we started doing the podcast.
And it's not just messages. She's sending us
you want
messages correcting us and saying that the facts that we give sometimes are incorrect. She feels it's her job to fact check us.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's like the brown noser in the room.
Yeah. I mean, we say she, but we don't know. It could be a he.
It could be Jaime.
right.
We don't know.
That's true.
Right?
It's like we've mentioned on the podcast that we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl, and they have not
But we just
clarified that.
basically want to cheat off of them for every test we ever do.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it
If
sounds
you know
like.
everything, then I'm hanging out with you. Yeah.
Done.
So the last time we had feedback from her, she accepted the mantle of being our fact checker. We kind of goosed it up a little bit, but today or this week she writes, "Hey boys, I have to write in about the egregious mistake that Bacon made when he credited Foreigner with Hold the Line when it was Toto."
I called you out on it, I
You
think.
sure did. You corrected me.
Yeah.
And that's why I named the episode Hold the Line, because it was...
Yep.
But you didn't say egregious, I guess.
No.
I think next time, B, you got to say egregious.
I
and
didn't
then-
feel it quite necessitated
you didn't stop the
egregiousness.
podcast and walk out. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She continues, I know Brian corrected you, but I'm disappointed. Also, is
Oh, wow.
Just while laying it on thick.
yeah. And interesting, she says also, is Bacon always an overachiever like he was in the not exciting but true bit? That's
All
a good
right.
question. I'm going to sit back and be like, I want to hear what you guys have to say.
This sounds like the pot called the kettle black.
Maybe a little butt.
Yeah.
You're over here giving us all the fact checks, and you're going to say that
Yeah.
you're the overachiever?
I mean, my not exciting but true was pretty... overachieving.
It was very much like you.
I cringed a little.
You cringed. Imagine how Brian and I felt. We were looking at our notes going, well, we cannot match up with this. I'm talking about doing the damn crossword puzzle, and you're doing fucking research into what the German version of our words are.
Yeah.
I was like, And then Brian's like, I went skeet shooting. That's not exciting. And I went,
Well, that's actually
like,
kind of
nobody
exciting.
understood the assignment.
Apparently, it
I
was.
think that's exciting. Like,
Yeah, it was
Exactly.
How did you do?
If you want to go, for the first time,
Brooke gets an invite, but we don't.
I did probably
Exactly.
about 25, 30%. Yeah, it's not bad, right?
No.
If you've never aimed a shotgun at anything, at something long range that's either going left, center, or right, and you don't know what it is.
Was this your first time?
First time. Yeah.
Holy man, yeah.
So I
well
was
done.
like, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
It got better as I went along, but
yeah, we can go. They don't need to.
they didn't seem very enthused
That's
about the idea.
untrue. I called you out for that being exciting and
know.
true.
That's
I
true.
know.
Well, thank you so much to Jamie and all of our listener feedback. We
Yeah,
welcome
we
all
do.
feedback.
We certainly do.
We talk about just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you guys didn't really answer her question.
What?
Is Bacon always an overachiever like he was in that exciting, but in that not exciting but true bit?
I feel like I'm just officially meeting you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. So why don't you answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, put you on the spot, Rook. What do you
I
think?
think you're a great guy.
Thanks, man.
I don't think
See?
that you've overachieved at all
Oh, that's
yet.
that's
In
nice.
fact,
It's like somewhere in the middle.
yeah. I think you're a C plus.
A C plus.
Yeah. You're above average.
He's just been dying to use that button.
This is PodcastNV.
Podcast numero
109?
9.
109.
Wow, we're popular.
109?
Yeah.
And who are we with?
We are with the extremely talented Rook Richards.
You're too kind.
He's joined us today to talk to us about himself, his music, how much he loves Radio NV, of course, obviously.
Hell yeah.
And we're really excited to have him here.
I take it
Hit
back.
the button.
There it is.
You are an overachiever. And you're ham, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm Bacon, really.
There you go. But you're going ham. Let's go. I love it.
Finally used it. So tell us kind of how you kind of got into this. Like what was your
So we're going to skip
upbringing
some years,
in the music?
the formative ones, and just,
I mean, basically, it does come into my childhood. I grew up in Alexandria, bounced around all over the place between there and like Pittsburgh, and just spent a lot of time. What really got me into music was one day my uncle gave me a guitar, and I was like 12 years old, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I don't know what to do with this thing. Thank you." It's like way oversized. I can't play it. I don't know what to do. So I like walked around middle school all the time with a pick in my mouth, thinking it would make me look cool.
It did.
No, it really didn't.
really?
Like people were like, what the hell is in your mouth? I got reprimanded by a teacher once for, she thought I had a cigarette in my mouth. It was not a cigarette. It was a pick. And
Underneath the cigarette?
yes.
Didn't you do the same
and then
thing
a
with
cigarette.
a drumstick, Bacon?
Yeah, I had a drumstick in my mouth, and they were like, "That's a blunt, isn't it?" And I was like, "No,
Hell yeah, it is.
Damn right. Damn.
it's a Vic Firth special."
You know what I've learned
That's a
that
drumstick.
in
You
that
overachiever.
age, I missed it. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
What I learned in that experience, I used to do the same thing with toothpicks. It's funny you say that. And people used to pick on me. And then I learned later in life that.
You mean they
people-
toothpicked on you?
They
Oh, there we go.
That's good. You better maintain this. You better.
I'll try.
You better. No
I'm
more
in the sweet
tequila.
spot. I'm in the sweet
Exactly.
spot.
You got to keep it going.
But you gotta have that in there.
The people that pick on you, they are like, man, that guy's cool.
Well, now
I'm going to try to
like-
make him feel like doo-doo because I'm not as cool as him.
So now it's weird because I do play in Alexandria, the place that I grew up, and I've had kids that did pick on me. They're like, "Oh,
Oh, like you're serious.
what's up,
like,
dude?
You're cool.
Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah.
I had one guy very awkwardly try to apologize for all the bullying he did to me when I
Really?
was young.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was super awkward, and I was like, I gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
thank you, I guess.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah, it was just not great. Like, please don't ever do that. If you are a bully, don't ever apologize to the kid. Just let him be.
Yeah.
And like maybe buy him a drink and just be like, yo.
Yep. Do the
to see
Grandpa
you.
Simpson where you walk in, put your hat on the rack, look around, pick your hat off the rack, and walk right back out.
Like it's fine, man. I hope you're a good guy now. Like, great. But yeah, no, it was just one of those things. I was very antisocial. I didn't really hang out with anybody. I took that guitar eventually when I was 13. I started just getting obsessed with it and playing it in my bedroom. And I would have a Sony, just a stereo. And you would have to hit the boombox.
Yeah, there you
Perfect.
go.
Yeah, there we go. And you would just have to hit the record and the play button at the same time. My parents would give me a stack of tapes for my birthday and for Christmas, and that's all I did. I would just sit down and just record songs and
Mixtape Central.
straight
I
up,
used to
man.
rip songs off the radio just like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't cool enough to rip songs off the radio. I just like listened to them and would try to emulate them and then write my own songs. And then I would go out and busk with a couple of my buddies out in the streets on King Street in Alexandria.
I'm sorry, did you say busk?
Yes.
You were
Yeah.
a busker?
Yes.
One that busks?
One that busks.
I like that word.
I couldn't tell. If you say one more time, I'll believe you.
Freaking overachiever.
Busker.
over here.
Oh, is that going to be the theme of the show today? God. All right.
Come
I
on,
mean,
Ham.
before I wasn't like thinking about it as that. It was just, you just go out and it was like, cool, man. We could play some music and like see what happens. We'd make a couple of $100 and we were
Yeah.
Yeah.
For doing
13,
nothing,
14 years old.
just putting
like-
up shop.
When you got $100 when you were 14, you're like,
Yeah, man.
holy shit, dude. This
Gold
is,
mine.
am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah,
Don't do whatever you want.
I should start telling people that they can because that's a common question.
All right,
Yeah,
I
it's
just-
like whatever you want. You're like, I say all the time. So.
All right. That's it. I no longer have any reservations.
All right. Good.
You should start out with that next time.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like,
I'll just say,
immediately just
like,
be like,
hey, we're here and we're
there we go. And then I'm like, all holds
Well,
barred.
I thought
That's
it was all understood when Tim said an almost no holds barred.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, it's Bacon. We here at Podcast NV are pleased to let you know about an upcoming show at one of our favorite venues, Jam and Java. On June 30th, the interplanetary renowned Shelley Star in the Galaxy returned to the venue and will be performing with Empress and the Gems and Argo and the Violent Queens. You'll be amazed by their songs, dance, and theatrics that promise to give you an out-of-this-world music experience. Plus, Shelley will be here as a guest on the pod in the coming weeks, so keep your ears peeled for that episode. Don't forget to follow Shelley at Shelley Star Official on Instagram. So that's June 30th at Jam and Java, Shelley Star, and the Galaxy. Get your tickets today.
So you had other people around you that were playing music. You got your guitar from your uncle, and that was kind of your into like, oh, I could turn this into a thing. Maybe not quite then.
It was more just like I was having a good time going out and playing music
Yeah.
and doing it out on the street and just making a little bit of money. And then it was more just trying to write songs. And I thought that was the coolest thing was, hey, people are listening to this. This is awesome. And like you started writing stuff that you kind of felt and just putting it out there. And it was the camaraderie, I think, mostly for me when I was in a band. And then it just all fell apart and it was kind of sad. So I tried to have a big boy job and I worked with Fairfax County Parks and Recreation for a long time.
Nice.
And then politics screwed that up. And I was like, screw this, man. I'm out. And when your back's against the wall, you can only move forward. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go forward with the music thing. I had already been on this app called Periscope, which is like Twitter Live, basically. And nobody really knew what it was, but people were starting to discover me a little bit there and were inviting me out to places around the country. And I started playing all over the place. And
What's the farthest you've played at? Like, how far away have you played? Is it California? Is it
yeah,
Texas?
I mean,
Because
technically,
you travel. I know you
so and now I do a lot more since things are obviously back to normal. So the Rock and Run Marathon, Toyota Rock and Run Marathon, if you guys have ever heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So they got wind of me. I used to play that in back and forth between that and Vans Warped Tour, which was a very strange experience for me.
Were you busking at Vans?
No, but it felt like it because I was in like a side tent next to like Five Finger Death Punch. So it's like you had Jack Johnson next to Five Finger Death Punch.
Right.
So I'm like,
Interesting timing. Thanks for the spot, guys.
all right, I'm gonna hop on a break indefinitely. Thank you guys. It was Vans Warped Tour was not a great time for me, but I made some fans and friends and had a good time doing it. But I would bounce back and forth between that and Toyota Rock and Run. They do the thing around the country, so I would play at Rock and Run in LA. Then I would go to Austin, and they like literally just bounce around between several different tours and all this. There's a spot in Prescott, Arizona that has this thing called Wine Bites and Brews that I would go up to and hang out there. I'd play the Arizona State Fair, the Minnesota State Fair, and like things like that. So, and then a lot of house parties. So people would just pay me and take care of that. And it was like I never had any money, but I was traveling all the time and living in and out of hotels and like crashing on people's couches. And it was just a fun time.
Yeah.
It's good.
Is
Just
this
doing your 20s.
stuff that you were booking for yourself, or did you have like a manager that was kind of helping you? Or
No, it was more just people were shooting me emails from Periscope and being like, "Hey man, you want to like come by and do this thing?" I did sign with a small label called Green Kite Records in Arizona, based out of Phoenix, and that's how I started. Oh, is there a?
do you know?
No.
No,
Okay.
he just heard my stomach making
I
noise.
heard it too.
I was like, did you?
It's like, what are you doing?
I didn't know if you'd heard from them.
No.
So, yeah, I ended up working with Green Kite Records, and they got me hooked up with the Rock and Run Marathon and Vans Warped Tour, and that's how I started working with them more.
And how long did that last for?
That was like 2 years, and it was a very like I didn't have an exclusive contract or anything. They were like, you can walk away anytime, whatever works. And
Wow, that's cool.
so that's the only record labels that I've ever signed with, and the one that I'm currently on is the same kind of way, but it was more like you got to pay for the studio time to take care of like, but which means I also own all of the
The rights,
tracks and
whatever,
everything else, except for the percentage that I owe the co-writers that I had the songs that I wrote with, which I think is perfectly acceptable.
And when you work in with the studios that you work with, is it whatever studio you want to work with? Do they tell you like they have partnerships or what?
With the label, they put me wherever. So when I'm work Straight Shooter Music is the one that's in Nashville that I work with right now, and they put me in their house, which sounds strange, but a lot of the places in Nashville work out of houses on Music Row because they don't want to have to pay for their massive rent to be in like the Batman building or
retail
whatever.
or commercial space or whatever.
Yeah. So they just screw this. We're going to buy a house. We're going to run it out of this, and we own this place. That's fine. So they have a little studio out there. I can come in. I can stay there. It's great. But they have songwriters come in, and you write with them. They set up all your times for it. It ends up working out very well. And then you go to studios that are also in houses. So it's like you wouldn't even know that this is where you're going to be at. You just roll up and you're like, I hope I'm not going to get stabbed or I'm not going to lose a kidney or something.
And then you walk in there and there's a bunch of equipment.
Oh,
and you're like, oh, wow.
it's
Okay.
beautiful. It's like, holy mackerel, where am I at?
Yeah.
So the place that I went first was this place called Watershed Studios, which is right outside of Nashville, that Dolly Parton's bassist owns. And his wife is a mandolin, acoustic guitar, all kinds of, does all the rhythm stuff. She's done several stuff for Taylor Swift and all. It's insane.
Wow.
Does beautiful work.
A lot of stories there.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, why am I in this room? Like, I don't like,
Like, am I in the right place? Does this make sense? Like, am I still alive?
So where did the name Rook come from?
Oh, there it is.
when I was,
Wait, your
Playing-
name's not really Rook?
no, not technically. Legally though, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was after when I was younger, I still play hockey, but I played hockey on a team that I was the youngest guy on. And they just kept calling me the rookie, and I'd go out to the bars with them after, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, rookie, blah blah blah," and then the bartenders just didn't even know my name at all, so we're just like Rook on every bar tab that they ever gave me. They just called me Rook, and that was it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious because I guess Little was taken, right? Little
Yes,
Richard.
Little Richard.
And Big, I don't know, right? King, didn't go with King.
That's true.
Azure Vox was taken.
So
Yeah.
I love how you bring that up every show.
that's cool, honestly. And then, so when did it turn into the chess piece? Just because of the abbreviation?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. I mean, it's very unique. And then a note to self.
A note to self was it was because I was in a 2-piece after leaving the Park Authority, and it was myself and my buddy Bird Boonyu, and we had been playing in bands together for years and years before that, but we just wanted to kind of pare it back and keep it simple. And my whole thought was, if I can do this and do it well enough just acoustically and not have any effects or anything big band or anything like that, it's just me, my voice, and one other guy, cool. I think I can make this. I can make this work. And as a 2-piece, that's just what we went with. And the whole message was, we're not going to settle for less, and we're just going to keep doing what we can do until we hit everything that we want to do. And we kind of got there. Bird ended up saying, I think I'm going to go do something else, and did that. And it just became me, and a note to self became very confusing. Yeah.
But you scored an interview on, what is it, USA 9?
Yeah, WUSA 9. You got to interview them when you first.
WTOP?
No, it was.
Was that at WUSA 9?
It's a video on your Instagram. And
Oh, maybe it is WUSA 9 with
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
It was DC.
That was a random thing. Like, I had a friend who was like, "Hey, they really would like to interview a local musician, and you were the first person we thought about." And I was like, "Yeah, cool, sounds good."
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I thought it was just going to be like something for like a
You're
class.
like, are we
to pass.
live?
Like,
Is it hot in here?
like I was like, "Cool, I'll hop on this Zoom interview, whatever." And next thing I know, it's like actual
studio.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is happening? Oh, all right, hi.
Yeah.
You mentioned ice hockey.
Yeah.
How long you been playing?
Technically, like, seriously, since I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
Really started focusing on it then. And I kind of got like a fire under my ass when I was 18.
Oof.
Because the coach that I started working, sorry. It's not chilly, man.
I don't need to know the specifics. It's fine.
This is exactly why I don't eat before I perform.
Oh, God. So the coach that I had was less than stellar and kind of pissed me off. And so I felt like I had a grudge, and I felt like I had to get really good in order to start, playing to a level that it really didn't make any sense. I was just pissed off, and I was like,
Yeah.
I had a chip on my shoulder, and I just wanted to get really good at hockey. And so I kind of did. And it was like too late. It's not like I was going to do anything with it, but now it's like one of my favorite things. And so besides music, hockey is 110% my favorite hobby.
So you picked the two hobbies that require you to carry the most gear in the world.
Yeah.
Musician and hockey player. Yeah.
But I'm not a drummer, so.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Or leverage.
Yeah, or leverage. Yeah,
Or leverage.
He carries around a lot of gear.
So,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Can I ask
Yeah,
a
go
quick
ahead.
question?
Yeah, go.
It's a silly one.
yeah, do it. I was going to ask one too.
So, all right. I want to hear yours.
Have you ever driven a Zamboni?
Fuck yes. Well,
Because we talked.
technically, I've driven an Olympia. You talked to Joe Downer about this?
We did. So
Yes.
his big thing was that's his icebreaker at parties.
He
right?
loves
pun
that.
intended. And then he said, yeah, nice one. And then he said, he used to be the only one, and then he met you, and you were the one that kind of blew his cover on that. So
He was not happy about that. And I felt I didn't feel that bad.
Oh,
Actually.
don't feel bad.
Yeah. I was
Don't be a
gonna say
downer.
that-
Just keep going. You're good.
Don't be Joe.
We call it Don't Be a Joe.
Oh God, I love Joe so much.
So do we.
But yeah, no, I was stoked to hear that somebody else had been technically IRM operator, like ice resurfacing machine operator.
So it's a fancy name.
Joe
No.
glazed over that one.
Yeah.
So Joe probably
He said there was no training involved. If you could,
He skated over that one. Sorry, damn it. Can you put that one instead of the
I'll
other
do
one?
that one
Okay.
instead, yeah.
wow,
yeah.
dad jokes.
Yeah, there.
All right, Iceman.
If nothing else.
You're dangerous.
Oh, man.
So yes, so there's the two biggest brands in ice resurfacing machines is Zamboni and Olympia.
Oh, okay.
Zamboni came first, and Zamboni is obviously way more fun to say, but
Yeah.
Olympias are way superior and they're so much more efficient. That's why you'll see them being used typically in NHL rinks and everything for hockey games and everything else.
Right.
PodcastNV exclusive. Yeah. Olympias are the better one. Zambonis to me were kind of like Band-Aids. It didn't matter what the brand was. I thought it was always just called
Correct.
Zamboni.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Or Kleenex.
Or
yeah.
Sharpie.
I thought it was
Or
funny.
Sharpies, yeah.
I did
That's
a
it.
talk to text, and they capitalized the Z on Zamboni, and I was like, oh.
And this has been not exciting, but true.
Indeed.
All right.
But it's called an IRM.
It's not
Now,
IRM.
is it IRM machine, or is that redundant?
Oh,
like
no.
ATM?
That's like saying jacket coat.
Yep.
ATM machine.
That's so awesome. Now, is that how you guys met? That was actually my question.
Joe and I, no, we met over the pandemic on like a live stream for DC Dogs. Is that what that was? They were doing a live stream with a bunch of musicians, and they were like, "We're gonna pay you like $150 or something like that to jump on." I was like, "That's great."
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not making shit right now.
Yep.
Yeah, we did it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I was doing it for free for all kinds of spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys ended up being like, yeah, cool. Like, jump on. We'll make this happen. Like, we're a nonprofit. We've got this like funding for musicians. Cool. And Joe, I think, was like a spot or two before me. And I got to meet him, and we never met in person. Honestly, I think the first time I met him in person was at Old Busthead. I made a point to come out from Farm Brew and stop by Old Busthead to come meet Joe. And his whole thing was like, it's great. The first time I tried to dap him up,
Yeah.
and I missed. It was a whole thing. Like, it was
probably-
great. The first time you meet me, you hit me in the face, right? I'm like,
Well,
I'm sorry, but
It was weird because I've never met anybody as tall as me. Totally threw me off.
well, technically, you're both taller than me. You and Joe.
I don't think so. I think you're taller than both of us.
I'm 6'1".
Really?
Yeah.
I'm 6'1" and I'm tons of fun and I'm dressed to a T.
Nice.
Oh my
Good pull.
God.
Little rapper's delight. Remember, we used to do that.
Yeah, I had a small part.
Yeah. So aside from Radio Envy, who are your biggest musical influences?
Brian Johnson.
Wow.
Well, that's part of Radio Envy. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't count then. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You just listening, if I could say from the outsider's perspective,
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like you have a lot of different influences.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, I feel like that's everybody nowadays. You always are kind of a product of your environment and product of what your parents listen to a lot of times. So I listened to a lot of Beatles. Incubus was a huge factor of like what the band I was in when I was in high school really listened to.
We listened to one of your songs before you got here because we were just kind of going through because we were trying to remember some of the names of the songs. And there was one which I can't remember the name, but I was like, it sounds like an Incubus influenced song. I think it might have been the Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin Fair.
Fair, yeah.
I wrote that when I was 18 years old, so that checks out.
Yeah.
Really?
That's also kind of strange that you.
It's got that kind of vibe, at least like in the first half, maybe 3/4 of it, and then it kind of takes a little bit of shift, not dramatically, but there's like different elements to it that kind of was like your take on like maybe an Incubus influenced version of that song or something.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but you've got country, you've got like 90s rock kind of influences, especially with your vocals, kind of the way that just naturally works for you.
I feel like that's like what everybody listened to, though, right? Like 90s rock was such a big thing. Like Goo Goo Dolls, Matchbox 20, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I guess it's technically 2000s, but
In that space.
yeah. And it was kind of a fun thing back then because it was the songs that you could play at a party and nobody really cared. Like as long as it sounded kind of right, you didn't have to enunciate anything.
Sure.
It was like, see, it's just like I don't know any of the words to even flow except even flow.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that even flow was the word until we played a wedding last year. And they were like, play even flow. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
But like everybody's like, yo, Eddie Vedder, one of the best vocalists of all time.
Yeah.
It's like, we won't even get into Billy Corgan.
Oh, well done, Bacon.
That's my Billy Corgan impression for everybody.
Impressive. It's very
Thank
impressive.
you.
What are some of the artists that you listen to that you're like, oh, that sounds cool, and then maybe it kind of sparks an idea for you to craft your own music or song?
All over the place, man. I mean, some of the bigger ones that everybody knows and everybody also loves is like John Mayer, obviously. Stevie Wonder was a huge influence, which is probably more like minuscule and kind of farther back than most things. Like lately, like I love Ed Sheeran. I love a good songwriter. Billy Joel was like the lyrics that he wrote were just insane. He taught me so much about life just by writing songs, and he has no idea who I am. It's amazing to me. Same thing with the Beatles. Paul McCartney, favorite Beatle all the time. He just always had more of like kind of an imaginative and kind of feeling behind everything that he was doing. And yeah, just all kinds of guys like that. A lot of the songwriters I think I felt more connected to. And that was just, I don't know, that was me.
Songs in the Key of Life is probably one of my top 10 favorite albums ever released ever.
You said that and like a little like hand just cracked up. Just tickled the bottom of my heart for a second. Like, oh.
And maybe a little bit of a nip.
That
felt good.
That is such a great album all the way through.
Amazing. It's one of the best of all time. Like it's wild, man.
Yeah.
And the title, Songs in the Key of Life.
Right? Who thinks of that? That's such a great title.
I wish I thought of it.
Right?
Like, damn.
You're a little late.
I know. Like 20 years too late or something like that.
So Brian gives me a hard time when we play gigs that I typically
On or off.
Well, that too, but amongst other things, I always wear a hat. I'm just comfortable wearing a hat. I don't know what it is. Like and plus I don't have much hair left anymore.
Nice.
But
I don't believe you.
You've got plenty of hair.
But I noticed that you
I've
wear
seen your
hats
back.
a lot, and I love your hat game. So do you have like a go-to, what's your decision on that?
Honestly, I don't know. It's got to be comfortable. And a lot of time it's got to represent something that I enjoy. So typically it's Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh, I'm a big sports guy.
I mean, you're in Pennsylvania and you have Pittsburgh and you have Philly and you chose Pittsburgh?
But why would you choose Philly?
Because
Philly doesn't have Bermanti brothers. Okay.
That is 100% true. Hey.
yeah, but they have things like cheesesteaks.
Oh, they got like Pats and Chinos, like the shittiest cheesesteaks.
No. Pats and Geno's are tourist traps. The real ones are gym steaks on South Street. Those are the ones you want to get.
That's one of them. But you got to go to like the hole in the wall place out in Philly. Like you got to find a place. Like you can't just go to I don't know.
Dads.
You're right.
Dads.
You can't just go to
Look what I started.
Dads don't fight.
Look what I started.
Oh, I love it.
I'm a huge Phillies fan. Like huge Phillies fan.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm sorry for you. I mean,
Why?
We made it to the final round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wow. But
What are we talking? We're talking about
if you
baseball.
Baseball.
If you didn't win the World Series, so what?
To be fair, the only reason I wear the Pirates hat is because it's the least threatening thing to wear in this area.
That's true.
That's why I wear Orioles.
Exposed now.
Yeah,
That's why I wear my Orioles stuff.
Yeah, when
Normally I get the I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
That's
it's
like,
okay.
oh, you sweet thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if I wear a Steelers hat, I'm gonna get so much shit. If I wear a Penguins hat, so much shit. But no.
Yeah. If you get the Pirates hat, you get the Southern bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy. It's no
Hey,
problem.
technically, we're in Pennsylvania. We don't know what the southern things are. We don't get this. We're Yankees.
So,
I'll cheers to
Cheers,
that.
buddy.
I'll cheers with it.
Hey, let's go. Hey.
all right, boys.
Cheers to Pittsburgh.
You cheers though.
I'll drink to that just for you.
Oh, man.
So, as a sports fan,
Overachiever.
Damn it.
so as a sports fan and gigging musician, how hard is it when there's like a game you really want to watch, but it's on a night that you're gigging?
It's not hard at all.
That happens a lot.
Now, do you ask them to pop it up across from where you're playing?
I never have to.
No, it's just
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because
It's- I mean-
Pittsburgh is never on TV. So
Wow. Wow.
sorry.
So,
That's how we feel.
It's the tequila talking.
How does it
It's
feel
not
to
really
finally be good at sports, though?
What do you mean? Finally, we've had pretty decent sport teams throughout my life. That's
Throughout
not
your
true.
life?
That's not true. I don't want to age myself. That's not true at all.
listen here, Sonny.
I mean, everybody talks about like the Boston curse and like the Chicago curse, but nobody talks about the Philly curse. Like when they started building buildings over top of William Penn's head on City Hall, that's when Philly started losing games all the time. And it wasn't until very recently that we broke that.
Finally.
Yeah.
You know, it was also, you stop punching horses in the face.
We're throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. You cannot stop us from doing that. Santa Claus, you had it coming.
Yeah. He was wearing red.
He was right.
That's right.
That was the problem. Yeah.
Everybody in fucking Philly is a bull. That's it. They're
Yeah.
just going for you.
Yeah. Underdogs, man.
That Santa was also there voluntarily. Like
Yeah, he was
wasn't
doing a
even,
charity gig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just kind of like he was being a nice guy, and you guys were like, "Nah, fuck you."
Yeah. It was,
Boom.
Yeah. Santa was doing Salvation Army. And it's like,
Literally.
you'll get
Yeah.
batteries instead of change. Okay.
Speaking of battery, the people that, got too rowdy got thrown in jail.
Which is actually under the stadium. The only stadium that has a jail under the
That's
stadium.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite things, right? Holy
Oh, man,
mackerel.
me too. I love that.
Do they offer
Put those
sandwiches?
bad actors away.
Do they offer bologna sandwiches and cartons of milk?
But I will say, even though the Pirates and the Orioles are not always the best teams, their stadiums are the most beautiful.
Oh, without a doubt.
I agree with that.
I did read this stat recently,
Uh-oh.
and I need
good.
to say,
Are you going to say something about Camden Yards?
Camden Yards is like real low on that list.
Well, Camden Yards was actually the blueprint for so many other stadiums after it.
Yeah,
And if
I
you-
believe that.
This has been shut it. I'm going to talk over myself right now. Camden Yards also opened in 1992, so
right.
it's been a while.
PNC Park.
But
PNC Park is like consistently being the #1 stadium.
it's beautiful.
It's amazing. I've never actually. Can you believe this? I've never gone to a game at PNC Park.
Well, I think you need to plan it.
That's gonna happen this next year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You should bring the
I
Radio
have
Envy
2
boys.
weddings
Hey, man,
I'm
I'll
going
go
to.
with you.
I'm going
Yeah.
to Brian's wedding and I'm going to my cousin's wedding. And my cousin's wedding is in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to a game that day.
Oh, I was thinking
Well,
that
not
maybe.
that day. That
Sounds like good times.
Weekend.
Yeah, good lineup. Good
Well, I was
lineup.
thinking that instead of Brian's wedding, we could just go to a Pirates game.
Oh, I like that idea.
Oh, do you want me to just cancel?
Yeah.
We'll just do that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Hey,
Getting married on 420. I mean, come on.
What better day to go to a Pirates game?
yeah, exactly. It's a beautiful day for baseball. Let's play two. Yeah, let's do this.
The sun is shining. The balls are flying.
Dare me to dress as a pirate at the altar.
I do.
officially
I
I'll
do.
do it to get your attention.
Oh, I'll be there.
Somebody will FaceTime me in from Pirate Stadium. Like, hey, there's Brian in his pirate outfit.
We started doing the Rev Media artist sessions at PJ Skidoo's, and you played the first night. And you played a few songs. I think you mentioned that hadn't yet been recorded, or that maybe you had recorded them, but they're not released yet.
Correct.
And there's one song that we were like banging our heads together trying to figure out if it existed yet. And I can't, maybe we can, filter it in post,
We can.
whatever. But it's the chorus. It kind of sounds like the da 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 da.
That sounds like Style.
We were trying to
Isn't
figure
that
it
what
out.
I said?
Here,
you know what?
A smile.
Is it Style?
Yeah.
Did you play it differently then?
No, that one's released.
No, Style. Can I pull? I'm just gonna pull it up.
That's not style. That's unreleased.
That's what I thought.
That is.
Can you turn it up?
Halfway gone.
Halfway gone. Correct. You happen to know that?
Yeah. Because I think at the beginning of the
listened
song
to
you
it a
say
few
it's
times.
halfway gone.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
And
This one's called Halfway Gone.
God damn it!
see,
There it is.
Drop of a hat, down when it's raining, it's pouring. Last night's dead, so under the mat.
You did such an amazing job that night.
Thank you, bro.
So good.
And we move on, Lord, only know. Sitting here with our eyes closed. Pushing with fire at the end of the night, beating up in each other's arms. Chasing our rainbows, helping on halos, taking over the people young. Some days I swear we're getting somewhere. What if I'm wrong? Headed halfway gone.
So good. So is this one of those songs that you were in the studio and it was like you knew what you wanted to do, or it was like I
This is
I
one of the
kind
ones
of know what
from,
I'm aiming for, but I need a little bit of help here and there and whatever.
So this is one of the ones that were recorded in Nashville, and so you sit down with a bunch of guys, not even a bunch of guys. It's one guy in a room.
Sounds hot. Just kidding.
It's usually like so.
That fell flat. God.
Ooh, didn't work. So you sit down. So the big thing in Nashville is you get your co-write and you have like a 3-hour session. You okay there? I'm gonna let him recover. You are.
It's the last,
good.
It's the last hour that gets him.
So
No, it's funny because there's a running bit that Brian doesn't know about that we don't react to as jokes, and it's been going on for like 6-8 weeks now.
There are a couple moments where, and I thank you for telling me. Now,
Here we go.
Breaking news.
there have been a few episodes I've listened to, and I'll crack a joke, and silence. Nothing
Absolute
happens.
silence.
And then the conversation keeps going, and I only know it. I mean, I know it in the moment, but I only truly know it when I listen to it after the fact, and I'm like, God, have you guys noticed that several of my jokes haven't landed at all?
Oh, we've noticed.
It's intentional.
but it's funny. It's good.
Now I know.
See, it's
sorry.
funnier after the fact. That's why. Yeah.
I wish you didn't tell him that.
You're a better actor.
I wish I didn't actually. Well, no, he's
Tim
not,
has to
because
go
I
like
just
this.
called him out for just laughing his ass off about this.
It's because I couldn't stop. I couldn't because like his react. I couldn't. Sorry.
Anyway.
That was outstanding. Like the co-writes go, you sit down in a room and you've got your like sectioned off time. It's usually like a 3-hour time slot. So I sat down and wrote this with a guy named Bill DeLuigi, who's actually very religious, wonderful human being. We sit down, we talk about life, like how things going. I'm not going to get too heavy about it, but it was kind of like, it's kind of like, I feel like I know this guy already. We had a really heavy conversation in the first like 15 minutes of meeting each other. And it's like, wow, I kind of, I can respect this guy a little bit. That's wild. And we talked about this concept of you're in a relationship, and he had gone through a divorce at one point in time, and I had been in a relationship for 9 years, and it just didn't work out. And it's kind of like, am I here, or do I have one foot out the door? And it's like, are we just halfway gone? And so we talked about this, and he brought it up, and I was like, there's no way that he's talked about this and thought about this. This is something that has never happened to me before, where somebody mentioned something that I'd want to put into a song without ever talking to them before. So it's literally just about that, and it kind of gets into like a fictitious thing. Another guy that I wrote with, Pete Salas, I always felt like I had to write songs from where I was from. It's got to be fictitious, whatever else. He's like, what do you have? Fiction writer or nonfiction writer or some shit like that? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like,
Play with it. Have fun.
do whatever the hell you need to do. And I was like, thank you, I guess. All right. And it makes you feel like you've got to start doing things proper. Or like just using your imagination a little bit. And so
Open the doors.
Yeah.
Let it in.
Bill sits down, and him being very religious is like, do you mind if I like sit down and pray and bless this songwriting session?
Wow.
Did that whole thing, and like it just felt very serious, and it just put it into a place of really focusing in on what I was trying to think about and what I was hoping to write for that session. And then how do you just kind of come up with the phrase halfway gone when I've never spoken to you before? It was something that
Pretty surreal.
and I'd never really done a co-write before, besides with Pete, who's like the fun uncle, and I love Pete. He's great. But this was just very serious and kind of felt kind of somber. And we talked about some life stuff, and we got there, and it went well. And I told him specifically, actually, I'm not going to lie, I told him that I wanted to go for the Jason Isbell tune, Cover Me Up.
It's got a resonance,
Which is funny because also I'm pretty sure Jason Isbell took that from Norwegian Wood by the Beatles.
Yeah,
so it's like it's the same kind of a vibe, but it's just that whole.
It just depends on where you take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same kind of a feel, slightly different key, but it just, so that's probably why it felt like a cover at first, is because it feels that same kind of way, like Norwegian Wood or Cover Me Up. Cover Me Up's been so popular lately with Morgan Wallen covering it. And yeah.
So when you walked into the studio or walked in to meet with them, did you already have an idea of the tone, and then you've kind of shaped the lyrics around the tempo, the pattern that you kind of already had in mind? Or was it like, you know what, these words that we have would fit this thing? Was it kind of,
So the studio was
that way?
very strange. I've never done it this way. I didn't say really anything. Like, they already had the work tapes of us recording things. So when you write for your co-write, you do your whole thing, and we both would record a work tape on our phones that we both have, put it into wherever we need to for all that. And then we send it off to the label to say, all right, this is what we did, and this is where we're going to go. And they take that, and then we sit down in the studio, and they play that work tape, and everybody listens to it and goes through it. And then if there's anything that needs to be changed, I'm like, yo, no, we need to swap this to this.
Like, I've thought about it since then or whatever.
Yes. But there was not a lot that needed to be changed. So it ended up working out the way it was. And it's just, I don't know. It was a very different way of doing things.
It's really cool. Wow. I love that track. I'm excited to hear the way that it sounds when it's like fully complete.
What is it you're here to promote today? What is it you want us to tell our audience about? Give us some plugs. Plug us in.
I mean, honestly, just right now, just keep an eye out for what's going to go on in this next year. We've got the EP coming out for the country record with SSM. It's going to be good. Ride's going to be the big radio single. I'm really excited about that. The rest of the tunes on that are really great. Halfway Gone is very much about just heartbreak and came from the heart. Just, it was a great tune. That's mostly the big thing right now.
Okay.
Check that out.
Okay.
When that comes out, and keep an eye. Follow me on socials and
What's your socials?
all Rook Richards. You'll
Rook
find that.
Richards.
Yep.
All right. Sounds
dig
good.
it.
Well,
Dude.
Rook Richards, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate having you. We had a great conversation today. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. There we go. Read us out. PodcastNV is a production of Bacon Wave Podcast Productions in cooperation with Revelry Media Productions. Michael Bacon, fucking Philly fan, engineered this episode. Video provided by Revelry Media Productions. If you like today's episode, tell your friends, share us with your family, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok with a C, and Threads Visit us at podcastnv.com to leave feedback or email us at feedback@podcastnv.com.